We got it. Hi, Ro.
Hi, how are you, Leila?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I'm sorry that all our technology keeps changing. You came in and like Zoom doesn't even tell me when somebody comes in anymore because it's got this waiting room thing.
Yeah,
So it's a mess.
my husband said it's going through the air, so like give it time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so Facebook Live didn't cooperate, obviously, so we'll just roll with it.
There you go.
Yay. So how's your day going so far?
It's going. I now if I can figure out how these noises won't pop up, so I apologize if that happens.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
well, let's see, you're 3 hours ahead, so it's
Yeah.
literally only going to be 11. It's been good, busy good. So I love being busy, busy in a productive way.
Yes, right. There's a difference, huh?
Exactly. And
So
yourself?
going good. Yeah, it is good to be busy in a productive way, isn't it? Like it can, yeah. It's not as busy in the busy way because we're quarantined, right? So
Right.
we have to actually focus on what we really want to accomplish and what are our priorities, and it's a good thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, how have you felt with as far as like the social distancing? Like for me, I feel like I've actually connected with people more.
Yeah, it does seem like, yeah, I would agree. Like I don't know if I've like noticed a huge difference really, but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to jump to say everything's great and I'm not
Right.
neglecting anyone, but but it feels like I'm pretty connected, like talking to people a lot all through the
Yeah.
day. Yeah, same for you.
Yeah, I totally feel like um I'm such an extrovert. Like I can do it, on my laptop at a Starbucks or any coffee shop, but I don't feel like it's changed for me that much because I'm still doing my normal routine like I always have. I mean, the only difference is, oh, let's meet at, oh, that's right, we can't meet anywhere. Well, let's meet online then and have our coffee with us. I mean, that's really the only difference for me. So I don't feel like it's completely changed me. My husband, on the other hand, it's driving him crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Let me just hit pause 1 second. No.
because he's been maybe he'll tell me longer. It doesn't feel that long, maybe because I'm still going to my nursing job, but it's probably been like maybe a week and a half, if that, for him, since the whole social distancing. So because he works for the government, he has to stay home, him and all his
Mm,
coworkers. And I'll come home and laugh. He's like, I'm so bored. And I'll joke around, like, you're getting paid to be bored. So what's wrong with
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it hasn't even been that long for him then. So he's real extroverted like you too?
He I this is the part where I am blessed in that I can come home from work and he'll have dinner made. Or like right now earlier, he was just like mopping the floor. So that's where I almost feel like the masculine and feminine actually is reversed in that way. I'm okay. I'm working on it, but I'm okay. I'm okay that he loves to cook. I'm okay that he loves to clean.
Oh, that's
Where
awesome.
other areas I'll take on the masculine role, so to speak. But yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah, I appreciate that about him because he doesn't mind it.
That's it sounds like he has a lot of energy.
Yeah, yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, we complement each other for sure.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming on with me. We're still kind of 2 minutes out if anybody wanted to join us. I didn't really want to we're getting started like ahead of ourselves here. So,
That's okay.
yeah, let me see if there's anybody there. A couple people might be joining us. I wanted them to be able to see us talk live, but if not, the recording will be good. So I'm
It
happy.
is what it is.
Exactly. Yep. Just got to roll with it. So yeah, I have a couple of questions lined up to ask you, but
Yeah.
what else should we hit before we dive in? Quarantine. Yeah. Yeah. So I've been reaching out a lot, and maybe that's why I'm like not noticing. Like I think I've like even maybe been better than usual about reaching out to people. I don't know, or maybe I'm just got more time to reach out because I'm not running around with the kids as much.
And I think also what I've learned is prioritizing, because even for me, things haven't changed much because I'm still at my nursing job anyways. But I find that on the 2 days that I do have off, I've now made it where one day I make officially for myself, and it's my either catch up if I'm inspired to do so, or just my time where I allow myself to, I don't want to say be lazy, but less productive, I'll say, because I'm constantly always busy. And one of the 2 days I have off, I focus on my business. I plan, you know, plan my week out. I try to plan, um, obviously talking with you now, which I'm so excited. Like, I feel like, um, when I was first starting to watch you, and I'll even watch you while I'm at work, even though I always can't get on. And I'm like in between taking care of the little baby that I take care of, and I'm like feeding through, and I see you, and I'm like, oh, I can't watch the whole thing, but I do watch you. And I feel like now is the perfect time because I feel like a completely different person. My mindset has changed so much from probably even last year. So I feel very different in the last 4 months than I did, let's say, like November, December. Nothing in the sense of material has changed for me. But I definitely feel like the way I think and my perspective is completely different.
Yeah,
If
I
that
love
makes
that.
sense.
That's so amazing. And we were
Yeah.
talking the other day that I thought was such a great point about how, we're talking about relationships and loving our partner and how a prerequisite to that is sort of like shedding that like well, I could do it if they would be better or whatever, like you have to just only be focused on your own betterment, right, in order to really
Right.
actually move forward with your relationship. So you have to get that self-development out of the way and that mindset shift out of the way, and then you can really make room for the best marriage and relationship that you can possibly have. And single women too, because you're not going to get that to that next step without
Right.
on your self-care and your own development. So I love that point. Thank
And I
you
think
for sharing.
we have to be at cause for our own thing. I think this was me before, and I'm still working at it. It's always a work in progress where there's no destination, right? Is that most of us, we have this victim mentality of, and I've been there where, well, if only he would do this, and if only he would
Yeah.
understand, if only he would change this, then I will X, Y, and Z.
Yes,
But,
exactly.
we put that on whether it's our partner, significant other, what have you. But wait a minute, how am I at cause for this, right? So if we go back to being at cause versus effect, then we have that power and that we take ownership for our own life. So now we can accept it. I'm like, okay, so now I actually am able to change that.
Yes. Yes, I love it. Okay, so we do have someone joining us. So hi, Lily. And then, of
Hi,
course, we're going to be
Lily.
recording up. Um, and Lily, feel free to ask any questions you want in the chat if you want to, any comments, and say hi. But yeah, so what we're talking about today is the 5 days of Limitless Love Challenge. Lily says, hey, awesome. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And so we started yesterday with a little challenge to give a wink or a wave to a stranger if you're single, or a little pinch, or flirting with your husband if you're married. And today is to take a picture with a dress or an apron on and send it to your husband, or post it on social media if you're single. And so it's just 5 days of some luscious self-care and loving ourselves, because, well, I mean, you came up with this challenge, actually. You really suggested and inspired it.
I actually have to catch up and do those posts. I will do that after our chat.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, you've done so much already. So first you suggested the Fireproof movie. So we watched that on Friday, and I didn't even realize you weren't even in the group to watch it, but it was a little watch party, and you already saw it, but I needed to see it. And so why did you think that was a good fit for my group and my audience?
Well, it's funny that you bring it up, because we had our talk, and I said I was ready, because I really wanted to work on being a better wife. I think most women do, right? Most wives want to, but it's making that conscious, intentional choice. And we all have that gift, and you have that gift. Thank you. And like I said, I've watched you, and I'm like, I'm ready, like it's time. And so I brought it up, just assuming, because that is your forte. And I just, I asked, have you seen that? Just assuming that maybe you did. And so when you told me, like, oh my gosh, you have to watch it, because I think it's such an eye opener. I think every woman, every wife wants to be a great wife to their husband, right? And in the movie, it's without telling the details, right? Because I think people need to watch it first. It's there's a part that I really liked, how his father advises him, right? And I don't want to give away the movie.
It's okay. I think we can summarize it. It is still in the group for people that want to watch it. They can replay the watch party. So if they want to see, they can. But yeah, I think we're okay to summarize it.
It's easy to get caught up in the everyday, normal, mundane, day-to-day. And a lot of and I speak from my experience, I'll put that out there, because it's not everybody, but I think for most, we get caught up in the day-to-day routine, and a lot of our stressors is not necessarily with each other. That's the added part of, okay, you come home, you're stressed at work, something didn't go right. And who do we blame? We blame the person that's closest to us, the person that's just there. And then it becomes a normal habit. And then it's just a vicious cycle. So I love the movie in that the beginning, they're beyond that stage, right? And so they take it out on each other, and they have nothing nice to say. And so I love how his father, gives him this book, which is The Love Dare, and how from that book he goes on to, he's doing it, and he says, I don't know, this is not working for me. And so, he's trusting his dad, and that just keep working at it. And now it's not even chore. As you get to towards the end of the movie, right? He keeps doing it, and it's beyond the book, right? It's beyond what's in the book. And so what I love about it is that now he's doing it because he really loves his wife. And I think that's so important for us to, whether we just intentionally want to do it at first, because I know when I did it before, I was doing it out of, well, if I do this, maybe he'll change. If I do this, maybe he'll start to treat me a little bit differently, right? So the intention of doing it, but it wasn't the right intentions. So now I can do it again with the intention that I need to do this because I want to be a better wife. And whatever comes out from that, it is what it is. It's not the intent of to make him become better or to treat me a certain way, which I think at the end of the movie, that's what happens. And the wife doesn't realize it till the very end. So I think it's such a powerful movie in itself. I think most couples should watch it.
It is. It's so cute. And I
Yeah.
love how, yeah, you're right. At the end, towards the end, he was doing it, you know, yes, he loved her, but it was like he kind of could see, because like our relationships are like a challenge to us to elevate our own self, right? It's like,
Right.
it's really, I mean, in, you know, like religious terms, it's a sacrament. It's like a calling, it's a mission in life. Right. And so it's not about like, you know, they need to do something for me, but it's like, I'm called to be better. And so this is how I'm going to do it, is through the other person and showing them how good I can, you know, how much of myself I can be, how I can fulfill myself, and kind of thank them for that challenge in a way.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I love how I mean, there were so many like good parts, and I you know, commented all through the like watch party, so it's all there. But it's so cute how well, not cute, but it's poignant and impactful that he says like that you can't care about something that you're not investing in. And he was saving the money for himself, and it's like, well, if I care about this woman and this marriage and it's like my top priority in life, then you know, he's got to invest in it. And that's the
Yeah.
same with ourselves, right? If it's like, I know I need to be at the top of my game for my marriage, which is so important to me, then you have to invest in yourself to make that happen. And
Right.
because that's where our energy goes, that's where it flows in the universe.
I think
And
my favorite scene was when she went to go pay for the extra things that wasn't covered, right, for her mom. And when the lady behind the counter told her, and she's thinking it was the doctor that paid for, and he did that. The husband did it because he wanted to. And if you see the reaction, um, something along the lines of, "This was 2 weeks ago," and she's like, 2 weeks ago. And if you watch the movie, you know that was probably the time when she when the paperwork was delivered to him, so to speak, because I don't want to really say exactly what
right,
happened, but
exactly.
right. So in my mind, when I was watching that, like that scene in itself it was heart wrenching, but at the same time, like it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it because
Powerful.
it's such a powerful scene.
Yeah. And at the beginning where he's thinking that, that he needs to get out of the relationship, like his problem is the marriage, like that's what's causing his problems in his life, just like you were saying, that no, because it is a challenge and a mirror reflecting on us, then if we get out of the relationship, we're just going to have the same problems with someone else and do the same problems. Even if we're alone, we're repeating the same patterns. And
Exactly. Yeah, I'm
yes,
glad you brought that up because that's so huge. It's like nothing will change if we don't change, and we have to want to. That's the key, is we have to want to, not want to with the intention of wanting to become a better person, not to gain anything other
right,
than to know that you're doing your part to become a better person, a better wife, a better
right,
significant other, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find that such a comforting point for women or anyone in a marriage that, you know, maybe they're still like on the fence. Like, I don't even know if it's going to last or if we're going to make it or anything. That just knowing I have to level up, even if this relationship doesn't,
Yeah.
you know, sustain. And so then it's like, okay, well, I have to do the same thing, whether I'm staying in or going. It's the same process, right? It's just improving yourself and being better.
Yeah, definitely. It
Um,
goes back to self-love for sure.
it does, right? Exactly. It just keeps going back to that. So that's why the challenge for this week is focused on self love. And Ray joined us too. Hi, Ray.
Hi,
Um,
Ray.
so feel free to comment or ask questions. So my next question for you, and maybe you kind of already covered this, but before people came in, is what are your goals for love and relationships currently?
Wow. I just I feel that any relationship, whether it's, your significant other, your spouse, your partner, and even beyond that, right? I think I have to keep working on myself. Until I level up to the highest form of row, no other relationship, in my opinion, is ever going to get better because you're not seeking validation anywhere else. I'm not seeking for my husband to do X, Y, and Z to make me happy. I have to be happy with who I am. So I think for me, in order to have a better relationship with my husband or any relationship, whether it's family, as a daughter, as a sister, right? I have to better myself. I can do all the things, that a loving person should should do. But I think it's so easy to say, but do we stop and ever really think, well, what can I do for my spouse today? What can I do, for my parents today, right? As a daughter, what can I do, as a sister? What can I do as a friend? So I think going back to self and how I can constantly improve on me is the only way I'm going to get to the highest level of relationships in all aspects of my life. And I'll share this is because I timing is so important. I've been watching you, like I said earlier, and I've been kind of dabbling, going through like your content and watching. I'm like, and I'm sure the reason why I wasn't ready at that time was because I honestly wasn't ready. How can I love someone, which I've just learned recently, it's going to bring tears to my eyes. That saying, you can't love anybody unless you love yourself first. And I'm like, how is that possible? I don't have kids, but you would love your kids before you would love yourself, right? You would love your spouse before you love yourself. But if I can't love myself fully as I am, the light and the shadows both, how can I accept that in another person? So for me to definitely, how can I be a better wife, right? Well, I think making the decision to reach out to you, and which I'm so excited to take your program, that is the best gift I can give myself as well as my husband because I'm bettering myself. Not to, I mean, what he gets from it is that I'm a better person because he knows when I'm feeling down, right? He knows, he sees me in my worst of times, and he's never ever told me, well, maybe if I've gained weight up and down through the years. And he's never ever once said, well, maybe if you would lose weight, or maybe if you would go to the gym. Like, he's never, ever, ever, ever said those things to me. But he's always said, well, maybe like do something that will make you feel better. Do something that, maybe go out and get some fresh air. But he's never ever put it as far as like my appearance. So I'm very blessed. If anything, I was harder on myself. I think women are harder. We're harder on ourselves when it comes to our appearance. I'm guilty of that. And I think in order to have better relationships in all areas, it has to start with what can I do? So it brings me back to that doing your program. I'm so freaking ecstatic. Like
Yay!
I know, I can't wait. I'm so ecstatic.
Yes. Okay.
He doesn't even know, and I don't need to tell him because
Yeah.
I'm doing it for him so that I'll be that better person for him.
Yes. And you're just going to glow, because that's just how it works when we love ourselves. And you mentioned loving yourself. How can you, like, how does that work? The chicken and the egg. If you're loving someone like a child or a
Yeah.
spouse before you love yourself, well, love is a verb. So it's like, and this is what I was always so confused about, is like, how do I just love myself? Like, I can't just like make it happen. How do you make it happen? And that's why the action and the moving forward and the taking the steps, taking the investment, and spending the time and the focus and the energy on a regular basis on yourself, that's the action that communicates to yourself, oh, I am loving myself. So
Exactly.
yes, exactly. So tell us, what made you want to work with me and enroll in the Wake in the Fire in Your Prince program? So that's what we talked about last week, and that's what you're so excited about. We're going to start next week. What exactly made you excited about it?
Well, again, I've been watching you, and it was just a matter of when. It wasn't if, it was just a matter of when. And that day when I reached out to you, because I reached out to you before, but that day I was like, oh my gosh, it's time, like it's happening. It wasn't, I don't think I was looking at it like, oh, well, I'm going to look up Leela and let me just chat with her a bit. I think it just really, I don't know whether it's an angel or a spirit that just said, it's time. And I knew it was in my heart that I wanted to be a better wife. I'm still working, and he hasn't worked. And I would come home and he's complaining and he's watching trilogies. And you know, I would tell him, I'm like, you're complaining for getting paid and you get to be lazy. And I would notice a pattern, right? That I would start to come home and I would do that. Or I would say, like, I'm hungry. I fasted all day. Like, I want dinner. And after a few days of that, wait, stop right there. What are you doing? Like, it's not his fault that he's staying home, that, or like, that's not his choice, right? It's his work. And just a lot of things that I would notice, and I would stop myself and stop bickering, stop being that nagging wife that you don't want to be. And what can you do to better yourself? And I can compliment him, which I find, I think for most men, they like that ego stroked, right? Like they love the compliment, they love. And I would start to tell him things like, oh my God, I love, like, one of my favorite dishes that he makes is spaghetti, but he bakes it. And he does it in layers. Yeah. And so I always compliment him on that. So he'll make it when I bring it up. He's like, okay, I'll make it for you. Or so little things, when I stop myself, it's work, to just not nag about the little things. I stop and I have to think, how can I change that into a positive, right? And so I was like, then it was like, I really need help in this area because it's not my expertise.
Right.
And so that's when I'm like, okay, I'm going to reach out to you. I'm ready. And I'm just excited about doing this, because there are coaches for different things, but that is not my forte. And I just knew, like, you're like the perfect person that I can go to. And I was already looking at your content. I was watching your YouTube videos, and I already felt comfortable with you anyways too. And so I was like, so it led to that. And I'm looking forward to working with you.
I love it.
So
I'm so excited. I'm so excited too, and thank you. I'm so honored. Thank you for trusting me. And so, if I'm hearing you correctly, what I'm hearing you say is that there was like a self awareness that it was time
Yes.
to take another step, and so you just had to like make a decision. It's like, okay, I have to put action behind what I'm trying to remind myself, and kind of slipping in back into.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I love it.
Absolutely.
And so you mentioned there's coaches for different types of things. So we can talk a little bit about what you do. I'd love to share that with everyone.
Yeah, the coaching I do is self-love is a big one, but it didn't start out as self-love. So I know that had taken a look at my blog. Trying to make this as concise and short as I can. So since the age of 5, I've always been in and out of the hospital for like asthma, bronchitis, pneumonia, and even from 2016 to 2018, I'd been hospitalized at least 10 times, at least. And, you know, I've always loved to write and I've always wanted to do a blog. And, you know, I would sit there and I'd think, well, I can't do it yet because it's not perfect. Like, I don't have a logo, I don't have a website, I don't even know where to begin. And so I just started writing. I'm in there in the hospital, my hospital bed, and I'm just starting to write and jotting down ideas. And slowly I would just start to write pages and pages and pages. And again, law of attraction, right? As someone popped through my Instagram feed, and from there it was like, okay, let me just have a logo created. And then, you know, from there it was like, well, do you want to create a website? And we just talked about price points, and because I hadn't worked for a while, the doctor literally put me off work, and I was like, you know, I don't know if I can afford it. And she's like, listen, let's see what we can come up with. And I just thought, wow, that was like the universe, like, take it and run with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I joke around, perfect is only in the dictionary and Photoshop. So my blog, my niche, if you will, became about mindset, law of attraction, wellness. And those three came to mind because I had to change my mindset when I was sick. I'm like, okay, I can use this time to start taking care of myself. I can eat healthier. I have all the time in the world. I can't work right now. I can eat healthier. I can, you know, start focusing on what I'm passionate about. I can do X, Y, and Z, right? Because I had all the time in the world. I wasn't allowed to work for a while. And so, and then that's how I learned about intermittent fasting. I lost weight, started to do things that made me feel better. And as I started to go through coaching programs, I didn't want to even be a coach. It was more of, what can I do to improve myself? And so I learned a lot of techniques that really changed the way I thought. I mean, as simple as like a half hour. So I do life coaching. I'm an NLP practitioner. I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm an EFT practitioner, and I'm a time techniques practitioner. Recently just got certified in Reiki and a lot of other things, yes. So as I'm working on bettering myself through coaching programs, that's when I fell in love with who I am, because I had learned these techniques that make you helps to shift your mindset, right? And what I love about NLP specifically, when you do these techniques, it's not, I'm doing this to you. It's not a do to process, it's a do with process. So my clients are fully aware that I'm doing these certain techniques, because we always ask them this question in the very beginning. And what I love is that I've seen so many transformations, from somebody smoking 2 packs of cigarette to now cold turkey quitting, and women feeling like they've gained their power back. And that's just like in 30 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is a game changer. And that's how my passion for coaching came about, not even wanting to, because I was like, that's such a huge responsibility. I didn't want to put it on me. But when I worked and I'll say practice before actually becoming a coach, is I saw the transformation right before my eyes. And self-love, it wasn't like I'm going to be a self-love coach. It literally just came on its own because I saw the changes in me and people noticed it. They're like, something's so different about you. And when I knew that I wasn't seeking outside approval for the things that I wanted to do, and I just started jumping on the bandwagon to pursue things that I've always pushed back, and I didn't need the validation, that's when I knew. That's when I knew that I actually love Row, because if you would have asked me last year, I could not say that. And wow. I'm getting goosebumps. Like, I can say that I love who I am fully, the parts of me that I love and the parts of me that I don't love, because the parts that I'll say this, the parts that we love less, or the parts that we still need to work on, that shapes who we are. Those are the parts that we take and we want to make better. And then we start to love ourselves as a whole. And I think that is so huge. It is so important. Yeah.
So it's like you're accepting yourself for who you are, but then also working to change things. It's like, yeah, how do you reconcile that without like saying, because we just have this programming that if you want to change something, you must hate it, right? So it's like, no, by changing and working on yourself, you're expressing love, and you're
completely the opposite. And one thing I noticed that, self-development, personal growth, it's not a destination. It's always, you're always going through this journey, right? So, and it's not like I'm better than anybody else. I'm just a better person than I was last year, right? Yes. We're evolving and we're growing, and my blog is evolving as I'm wanting to get better. One thing that I noticed for me is when I've stopped critiquing myself, or I'm less hard on myself, I'm not judging other people.
Yes, exactly.
Because when we judge other people, I'm like, what is it about that I don't like about myself? And so when we're not so critical on ourselves, then we're not that way with other people.
Right, exactly. Well, I love your story. Thank you so much for sharing. It's so inspiring. I can't wait to start working with you. So excited for this program to start. And so I will link your blog is called Live Your Best Selfie, right? .com.
Yes.
So I will link that when I post the video, as well as the Awaken Your Fire, the Fire in Your Prince program for anyone who wants to join us. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. So ladies who are watching, do you have any questions for Ro or any comments before we sign off? And thank you so much for doing this with me, Ro.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Okay, anything? Lily says, thanks, enjoyed it. Thank you, Lily.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say before we go?
I think the only thing I would probably want to say is love who you are authentically, unapologetically, as long as there's no intentions where anybody else is hurt. Be who you are. Because if you can fully be who you are and love who you are, you will start attracting the right people, the right opportunities, and that will manifest. But first and foremost, love who you are.
Yes, well said. And this is the dog telling me that it's time to go. So, well, thank you so much.
Great.
I'm glad we got our technology somewhat sorted out,
Right.
so a couple of people could join us and everyone else can watch the replay. And
Thank you.
I will see you around the group and then in the program next week. Yay.
Thank you, Leela. I appreciate
Bye.
you. Bye.
Have a great day.
You
Bye,
too.
Ray. Bye, Lily.